Welcome to Butler's Inventor Tutorial Tic-Tac-Toe Day 1 iPad Edition. In the last video I showed you guys how to get Workspace up, how to play around with Workspace. Now we're going to dive into using Inventor. By the end of this video you will have a tic-tac-toe board fully extruded, looking similar to this that you can see on my screen. As you can see, I have pinned the tab escape Windows Control Alt Delete at the bottom of my screen there. I've also turned on the pointer. Once you guys have Inventor opened up on your iPad, I'm going to have you come up to File and New. Now, one of the big questions I get right away is, Mr. Bowen, there's a Start Learning or a Start Working on my screen. Which one do I click? You don't click either of them. You are just going up to click New, and we are going to create our own standard IPT. I'm going to click on it once, and then I'm going to click Create. Giving it some time to load. Next up, I'm going to have you guys create a new 2D sketch. Starting from the 3D model tab up here, we're going to need to grab this 2D sketch button right here. And you're going to notice three different planes pop up. I have the XY plane, I have the YZ plane, and I have the XC. All of these planes match up with a different face, as you can see over here, the front, the right, and the top. Typically, and I would say about 95% of the time, you are going to do your first sketch on the XY plane right here. When that is highlighted red, you are going to click once. Now there's a possibility right off the bat someone has accidentally clicked and dragged. If you did that, what it's going to try and do is offset a plane, and things seem like you can't move forward, and there's a couple buttons I really need you to know about. At the bottom of your screen you should see the Escape ESC. This was part of my keyboard that I pinned down here. If I hit Escape, it's going to allow me to get out of there, and then I could just try it again. Start a 2D sketch on the XY plane. So we need to draw some sort of rectangle, and we need to figure out specifically what size should it be. We need to learn how to read a blueprint, also known as a technical sketch, and figure out how can we read all of these dimensions and figure out how to make this tic-tac-toe board. So the dimension that we're going to need is coming from the front view down here. What we want to figure out is how big is this large square. To figure out how wide the square is, we need to see a dimension that tells us from this side to this side what is the distance. Well, if they put a dimension on top of the part, it would get a little bit messy. So you notice most of the dimensions are off the part itself and either above it, below it, or to the right. So what we're looking for is the dimension that goes from the left side, you see this arrow, to the right side, see this arrow, is 3.48. We also want to know how tall is this big square. I need a dimension from the top of my part to the bottom of my part. You'll notice the arrows between the two. That is also 3.48. Coming back to Workspace, using my pointer here, I'm going to come up and I want to grab the 2-point rectangle. I want to quickly show you there's a bunch of tools underneath the 2-point rectangle. Lots of ones we can play around with. I'm going to have you guys either select the one that's already showing, or you can drop it down and select the 2-point rectangle. And this is where using the pointer is very helpful. You'll notice I have that little dot. I want to bring that dot all the way down to this yellow dot right here, and it turns green. That yellow dot is 0, 0. It's also known as the origin. Typically, it helps if you start your sketches at that 0, 0 point. So I am going to click once, click. I'm going to move my mouse into the upper right. I could go upper left, I could go bottom left, I could go bottom right, but I know from math class that positive X goes to the right, positive Y goes up, so I want to draw this in the upper right quadrant. Here's where we need to type some things in. I want to tell it specifically how wide is it supposed to be. On my screen, you'll notice it's highlighted blue and it keeps changing as I move this. So what I'm going to have you guys do I'm going to undo that, start a 2D sketch. I'm going to click and move this. What I need to do is grab my keyboard because I need to do some typing. You could switch this to the numbers or the letters, or you can also pull down on a letter to get the number. But I'm going to switch it to numbers and type 3.48. Now if I were to hit return right now, you're going to notice that it locks that in and it goes way off my screen to the right. It's not quite what I need. So I am going to click undo in the top here. I'm going to try it again, rectangle, starting from the origin, pulling up my keyboard. I need to type 3. Grab my keyboard, 0.48. I'm going to use the tab key to switch over to the height. I'm going to grab my keyboard and type 3.48. Now that I've put in the width and I've put in the height, I could hit return, I could hit enter. I'm going to hit tab here just so you can see. I can tab back and forth between these two, and they're actually locked in there. I know that I have the width set to 3.48. I have the height set to 3.48. From my keyboard, I'm going to hit return. This always confuses people the first time. What happened to my rectangle? I swear I did things correctly. Where did it go? Well, it is currently zoomed in so far that it is off my screen. So what I'm going to do is down on my keyboard that I have pinned, I'm going to hit the escape key, ESC, and you're going to notice that my tool leaves my hand. Next, I'm going to have you take your pointer and I'm going to have you go to the front view. And there it is. So before, I was zoomed in a little bit too far. I will zoom a window for you. I was zoomed in on something like this. What I wanted to do is click front so I can see everything on my screen, And there is my rectangle set up with the dimensions locking it in. If yours does not look like this, what you're going to do is back out by hitting undo, and you're going to attempt to do the rectangle again. When you get to this point and you know everything looks good, we are done with our first sketch. I'm going to bring my pointer up to the green check mark that says finish sketch. I need to finish my sketch. I'm going to take my pointer and hover it over this navigation cube that I'm circling. And I want to go to the home view, this little house. By going to the home view, I get this nice three-dimensional view of my shape. But currently, it is a flat 2D shape. Looking at the top, looking at the right, there is no depth to this yet. So since I finished my sketch, it has switched me from the Sketch tab to the 3D Model tab. And now I'm going to try to use a new tool called Extrude. When I click Extrude, because I've drawn only one shape, it's already selected that profile for me. It is currently poking out of there. I want to change the direction right here and tell it to be flipped so it goes the opposite way. And then I need to change the distance. Looking over here, this is my front. This is my top. This is my side. On the side view, you can see the depth of your part, going from the front of the part to the back of the part should be 1.5 inches. This view is if you were looking at the part that way. So back over here, what I want to do is click inside distance A, and I want to type 1.5. I could put a 0, I could put a 0, I could put a 0. It's not going to change anything because it's after the decimal point and it's after my whole integers. So all I need is 1.5, and you can either hit return or you can click OK. One more time, I'm going to go to the home so I can see everything, and you have now created a three-dimensional part that is the building block for where our tic-tac-toe goes. Currently, this is called part 1 up here. I'm not going to remember part 1 a day from now, 2 days from now, a week from now. So we need to save this very specifically in a spot that we can find with a name that we're going to remember. To save, I'm going to have you go up to the orange file and click. You're going to go to Save As. The first thing you need to change is you need to drop down the Save In location. There are all sorts of places you guys could save this. You have your recent, your desktop, your network. But there's only one spot that I want you to put things. Down here, you are going to see something that has your username and a dollar symbol. It says SDW student probably. This is called your H drive. Your H drive is accessible on any iPad, any computer throughout the district. This is where you want to start saving your things. Again, I drop this down. I don't grab the one that has my name. I don't grab this one in the middle. I go all the way down and find my username with the SDW student location. Secondly, we need to change the file name. It is currently called Part 1. I'm going to click in there. I'm going to grab my keyboard I'm going to delete the word part 1, and now I'm going to give it a name I could recognize. I'm going to call this TTT. Tic-tac-toe. You'll notice I've saved this quite a few times. Tic-tac-toe. Because I'm doing this in a video that's a demo, you could leave it as that. I'm going to write demo for now. TTT. If you have it in the right location, if you've given it the name TTT, you can come down here and click Save. You're going to notice the name goes up at the top. This is now saved in a location that we can access in this second video. Congratulations, you have finished the first day of Inventor's tic-tac-toe tutorial videos for the iPad. Come back for the second video tomorrow. Nice job.